Hi guys, this is Dan. Welcome to Angle Guys. For those of you that are new, welcome. For those of you that are returning, welcome back. For those of you that support me over on Patreon, thank you so very much for your subscriptions. This is the monthly Tarotscope for the month of June for the sign of Libra. We are starting, because we're in Gemini season, we're starting with the air signs. So we just did Gemini, now we're doing Libra, next will be Aquarius. This is for, basically this is a broad spectrum reading for anybody with the sun, moon, or rising in the sign of Libra, or if you have heavily placed planets in Libra. So I would consider 3 or more of your planets heavily placed. So if you have a lot of planets in Libra, you may want to watch this just to get any sort of indication of how those planets may be affected this month. This is a broad spectrum reading, so you have to figure out where it best applies and fits in your life. If it doesn't make sense, that's okay. You might be working on something totally different at this during this month, and it could have to do with the houses and things like that. So don't worry if things don't sort of seem to fit, but if they do, please feel free to utilize them in whatever way you see fit. Please hit the thumbs up button if you enjoyed the video. Consider subscribing to the channel. I greatly appreciate it. And we're going to see how this goes. Some of you may have noticed I said in the Gemini video, there is I'm using a different camera. I'm trying it with this sort of above ground format versus the way that I've been doing it the last 6 months. I think I just needed a change. Hopefully you guys will enjoy it. Let me know in the comments. This first card is from the Animal Spirit Oracle deck from Kim Krans. And it is our sort of signifier for the month for the sign of Libra. It can be an animal that will be our guide for the month. It could be the properties of this animal we need to be aware of or reflect upon or best utilize to move ourselves through the month in the most easiest fashion. So let's see what animal comes out for my Libras. So Libras, you guys got firefly. Now this is an air animal, or I would say insect, but I'm not mad at it, right? Because to me, it speaks to, not only is it, it's air, so it's in line with your sign and very natural to who you are. But I love that it sort of has a light to it, right? That amidst the dark, we get to shine our light, our truth, our being, who we are, how we feel, what we know, and the sort of light that surrounds that. For each one of you, it may be something different. For one of you, it may be your truth. For another one of you, it may be, your honesty. But whatever it is that is intrinsically you this month, Libra, you guys get to sort of maybe light the way with that part of you that is the truest form of you, is kind of the feeling that I'm getting from this. There's also, to me personally, when I look at fireflies, there's always this weird sense of this sense of magic that happens when I see fireflies in at night, the way that they blink on and off, right? And so I hope, we'll see what the cards are that come out, but I'm hoping that there might be also a sense of magic and opportunity for you guys from this card. We'll see as I shuffle for the cards and see what comes out. But again, I'm going to go with this idea of your truth, your light, however that takes form this month, really should be paid attention to, should be acknowledged, should be nurtured, and allowed to shine through. Okay? And I don't know, I'm not sure. I don't know if either the preceding months have been dark for my Libras, or this month could be a little bit dark and conflicted, because this darkness around the fireflies is making me think, it's almost like you need to be a beacon in a way. What's that phrase? Don't hold your light under a bushel. It's that kind of a thing. So if you find yourself lighting the way for others too, that's certainly acceptable and okay. Let's see what comes out in the tarot and see. That might give us more further clarification of what's going on with this firefly and its light. So this is your center, where you're centered at. Okay, so it has been a dark period leading up to this point. This is the Three of Swords. Three of Swords is air element, so I'm not mad at that part of it. The Three of Swords can indicate sort of emotional or mental anguish through old emotional hurt that we've maybe not healed, we've maybe not transcended or made sense of or could wrap our heads around, right? This sometimes to me also can indicate breakups, heartache, sadness. Usually to me though, it's because it's a swords card, it has to do with sort of our mental attitude towards emotional pain of the past is the way that I see it. The one beautiful thing, even though this is a really rough image to look at for me personally, is that we have this beautiful, strong beating heart in the center. We have three swords running through it, yes, but I feel like when we pull each of these three swords, it's like kind of pulling like maybe how do I want to say it? Like a splinter out of a wound or something, right? We're still left to heal, and then we still have this big, beautiful heart in there, right? Now, when I look at this beauty of this heart, that to me is also indicative of the light of the firefly. That's sort of the truth that we see in the light that exists within this darkness. We see this darkness in the clouds and in the rain around the heart of the Three of Swords. Yes, there might have been some sadness. Yes, there might have been some heartache. But as we sort of reflect upon it, work with it, sit with it, it can hopefully bring about transformation, change, understanding, strength, all of those things from not running from this, not resisting this, but allowing it to sort of just be where it is, to inform us of what it needs to teach us what we need to learn from it, right? That's sort of the power of the Three of Swords, is that ultimately when we do withdraw these three swords, however they may have been placed there by whomever, whether it was ourselves or another human being, right? We still end up healing and owning the heart that is our truth, right? Of who we are. So let's go to the foundation. This is the card that's below you. This indicates a little bit to what was going on in the past that opened the door for everything to be the way that it is today. It also tells me a little bit about what could potentially be holding everything in place, or the memory of this card can be driving things into the future. So let's see what that is. So this is the Two of Swords. Again, more swords energy, more air energy. This is about indecision. This is about maybe boundaries being crossed. This usually indicates to me about boundaries being drawn, but I kind of feel like there was boundaries being crossed for my Libras. And I don't mean crossed like, I mean stepped over, not listened to. Some of you may have crossed your own boundaries even, or knew better and didn't listen to your own thoughts. And the reason why I say that is this moon here is attracting my attention. It's making me think, was there somewhere in the past where my Libras saw this coming and they were like, uh-oh, you know what, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt, or I'm going to give this situation the benefit of the doubt, and I'm going to not necessarily disengage or protect myself in the way that I should, if that makes sense. And where that has led us to is to this Three of Swords, which indicates a place of maybe upheaval a little bit, or what's the word that I'm looking for, where we have to sort of maybe take an inventory of what's gone on. I'm not saying this is every Libra's fault, right? But I do feel like some of my Libras in the past are aware, they saw it coming in some way, shape, or form, and they maybe didn't do anything about it. They maybe pretended that, oh, it's going to be okay, or I can deal with this, and this, as I'm saying this, you have to figure out where this applies, if at all, to your life, right? This could be about, being underappreciated in a job, or treated poorly in a relationship, and knowing in your gut, knowing in your mind, you know what, this is not okay, but not necessarily drawing the boundary, not necessarily drawing up your sword and making the decision to walk away, right? But sort of staying there, staying seated, similar to how she is here, putting on that blindfold and not necessarily looking at things as they were, even though you knew somewhere, mentally, in your thoughts, mind, whatever, that this was not okay, right? This is a big giant no card to me. Now, the fact that this is driving you or in this position makes me a little bit nervous for my Libras, only because we have this Three of Swords in the center, but we're going to look at what the spirit has got going on and the outside influences. But this could be a bit of a rocky month. So I'm just going to throw that out there. Also, with the darkness around this firefly. The firefly, again, I'm going to go back to the thing that I was talking about honoring the truth that is within you, or the light that is within you. If this feels like an emotionally or mentally exasperating month, just stay with it, Libra. Don't give up just yet, or don't, how do I want to say this? I don't want you to resist it anymore. And the natural inclination with this Two of Swords down here may be to want to resist whatever is going on, because it might be a little bit unfun, depressing, overwhelming. But if you don't sort of sit with it and understand it, certainly mentally, because you guys are Libras, right? You are that sort of air element mental thinker, that sort of a sign. If you're not doing the work, if you're not, I'm not saying not doing the work, but if you're unwilling to sort of pull these swords out, or look at the thoughts, look at the emotions, look at the sadness, and acknowledge it and accept it to a degree to begin that healing, then you could be in for a harder month than you need to be. So let's just say that. The next card is the Spirit or Soul card. This tells me what your higher self wants you to focus on or look at during this month. So this is the Ten of Cups. Okay, Libra, what is going on? This is like the polar opposite of what I feel like is going on in these first three cards. Okay, I feel like this is your spirit trying to tell you that you have a lot to be grateful for. You have a lot going on in your life that you should be acknowledging or might want to connect to emotionally. There ideally is an opportunity here for you to get beyond whatever you've been struggling with, either mentally and quite possibly emotionally in the last few months, or maybe say year. Your spirit wants you to release yourself from it. Certainly emotionally, right? Because the cups is the water element and that of the emotions, but tens also represent this idea of completion. A 10 of cups would be like sort of wishes fulfilled, harmony for everyone, emotional well-being, and optimism, all of that sort of stuff. We have a whole celebrating family. Like everything will be okay in the end is sort of the message that I'm getting from this card. But to believe that, it's sort of like there's a fight here between the spirit and then the mind, which you guys are naturally inclined towards the mind. There's nothing wrong with that because you're Libras, but be careful, because the mind is certainly, what's the word? Like, I don't want to say to not trust it, but just be mindful of where your thoughts are at and how it's affecting you emotionally, because you have such an opportunity for so much better this month, Libra. So like if we kick into this and we listen to our spirit and we try and connect to what we're grateful for, what honors us, what we're excited about, all of the beauty of this 10 of Cups, I believe that the light of this firefly will shine brighter and brighter and brighter and brighter. And the darkness that surrounds us becomes less and less and less, right? The swords that are within us, or, that have pierced us, have less power, less sway. Right? The past no longer sort of holds us in place, right? We're no longer stuck or unable to make decisions due to past experience. Does that make sense? Because there is this definite like inability to move that's down here. And that makes me a little bit worried for you guys this month. All right, so let's go to the outside influences and see what they have to say. These can be people, events, sometimes things more vague like belief systems or energies that are having an effect on us during the month of June. It can be either positive or negative, but we should just be aware about them so that we can either make the most of them or acknowledge, that they're out there. So let's see what they are. The first one is the Eight of Pentacles. So this is an opportunity for detailed work. Right? This is an opportunity. This is, to me, For some of you, this could be actual work being an influence this month, like actual productive work, right? And investing our time and our energy into focusing on things outside of ourselves that bring us reward to a degree. But it's a little bit, what's the word that I'm looking for? Not methodical. It's a little bit tedious in a way, right? And that's for those of you that this represents as actual work. But I think in a more vague sense, right, or in a more what's the word I'm looking for? More broader sense, this is an opportunity for us to look at where we're at and the work that needs to be done, and then start to begin that endeavor by taking small steps towards doing the work that we see that's in here in the Three of Swords, by rectifying the past. The only way that we can change the past is through doing and caring for ourselves in the now, Libra. And that's my feeling is that this opportunity here says to me that you have all of the skills. The universe or the world around you, your environment wants to show you that you have all of those skills by putting you into the position of this Eight of Pentacles, by giving you, yes, it might be tedious. Yes, it might be step by step. Yes, it might be somewhat slow. But as you do the work, the payoff is there. And only you know how to do that work. Only you have the truth of this light of the firefly. Right? Only you have the truth of the heart of this experience. And so when you start to begin to sort of take on the task of doing the work step by step, and for some of you, this may be actual physical work, like at your job. Some of you, this might be, physical work within relationships or wherever it is and wherever it applies to you. This card says to me that this is not a bad thing. It's about understanding that you can get yourself and work yourself through this experience in a way only you know how to. And the environment is going to show that to you if you're open to it and receptive to it, okay? And ground in it, right? Like that earth energy of Pentacles, ground in that and make it your bitch in a way. Make it happen for you. All right, the other outside influence is the Five of Swords. Again, this to me is this situation down here, okay? Five of Swords is about sort of being right in the midst of an argument and then realizing that that rightness or what you fought for didn't necessarily pay off. And so when I look at this here, this is about sort of, we have a choice here. This month. We can either get caught up in the right and wrongness of whatever went on in the past or however we feel now. And we can spend a lot of time sort of arguing it and fighting it in our head and trying to justify either their behavior, our behavior, some sort of situation that we had to go through or we had to behave in a certain way that may have been unbecoming to us or they were not right with us. But understanding all of that or making sense out of all of that almost feels like spinning our wheels, where instead we can put the work or the effort into ourselves, our own sort of what we can control, and sort of ground in that, stay centered, stay focused, stay productive. That would be this Eight of Pentacles energy, right? It may not be the most glamorous of roads. It may not be the most sort of fast moving or swift. We may not necessarily feel like we're being acknowledged or validated, but really the only person that we need to have acknowledge and validate us is ourselves at this point. Certainly our soul wants to do that emotionally, but we have to do sort of that work to get ourselves there. Like this is the payoff, say maybe a few months down the road after we've kind of come to an understanding, a real productive, grounded understanding of why things are the way that they are or why things went down the way that they did, not trying to argue our point or listen to others' arguments, right? This could be, I'm just going to use this as an example. Say my Libra's had a bad breakup in the last few months. You've been fighting with your partner and it's not been right. And it's not been right. And you've been telling yourself all the way along this whole journey, this is not right. I don't like this. And you haven't, maybe you've given them the benefit of the doubt one too many times and you found yourself here. And maybe there might be some self-inflicted sort of judgment that's going on for you, right? Where you're feeling like, shit, I should have listened to myself back then. And you're not willing to sort of let up on yourself for having made that mistake. And you may still have that partner that wants to argue with you and show you where you went wrong or what you did wrong or blah, 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 boo, whatever, it doesn't matter. Or maybe you're trying to prove to that partner how they did you wrong. But really, it's falling on deaf ears. It's not worth it, Libra. There's something so much better out there for you by taking the sort of higher road, maybe the slightly what appears to be the harder road, but it's certainly more grounded. It's more, what's the word? Like this Pentacles energy to me feels more like palpable. Like it feels like there's actual real payoff here, where here there's not. Right here, it's just sort of like even if you win, you don't win really. Right? Even if you prove your point, even if you get them to admit what they did to you or to understand, get them to understand why you did what you did, right? Or whatever. This is about justification, and it's just not, doesn't feel right to me. This is about doing actual like work that only you can do, that you know the path or the sort of the steps to take, or you're going to learn them certainly through this. This is like the apprenticeship card, right? So we may be apprenticing in our own healing, right? Because we have this as our center. But as we learn and we do the step-by-step work, we begin to transform this center and we begin to open the door for this 10 of Cups to pour forth. It's here for you, but it just requires shining that damn light, Libra. All right. So, and I love you. I don't laugh at any, I'm not laughing at your experience. I just think that there's a huge opportunity for healing here for you guys, and a huge opportunity for self-reliance here. And I mean, the healing is here and the self-reliance is here. And even here, I will say this, for any of my Libras that didn't listen to their own intuition or thoughts on a matter and like maybe denied it or stayed a little too long or did whatever, there's strength in having done this, even though it maybe wasn't the right thing, Libra. You stuck it out. You tried, damn it. Yes, maybe they overstepped your boundaries. Yes, maybe you gave them permission to do that inadvertently or didn't mean to, but it happened. Whatever, let it go. Like, it's okay. It's time to let down our guard, get into what's going on in the here and now, let go of the past, stop trying to prove anything to anyone or letting them prove to you why they did what they did. It doesn't fucking matter. And excuse my language, and get on to doing the work at hand that's going to actually pay off. Does that make sense? All right, so this next card is the outcome. This is a potential outcome, right? This is where things are going to end out in the month of June for my Libras, barring that nothing major changes, right? So the beauty about this card is that, yes, it is the future card, but it's not set in stone, right? So if we see this card and we don't like the outcome, we can make choices through free will to affect the outcome so that we can change this card. But if this card is positive, then we can take heart in the fact that we're naturally heading towards this and we don't have to do much to change it other than, keep being productive and focus on self-care and taking care of ourselves and our mind and our hearts and that sort of thing. So let's see what this is. So this is the Hermit. Makes sense. I'm not mad at this card because this is your only major arcana that you have. So it says to me that you're going to end up the month, how do I want to say this? Ideally in a position of power, but it's like the most withdrawn position of power you could probably have. The Hermit is Virgo energy, which is grounded, which means the majority of you are probably going to go towards this earth energy, grounded, productive, nose to the grindstone, apprenticeship energy of learning, right? What you will be learning through taking this route versus trying to prove your point or listen to them prove theirs is that you end up gaining more spiritual awareness about yourself. And I just want to point out this just really quick because I love when the cards do this from two different decks. We have this light of the firefly, right? And look at what the Hermit's holding. I wonder if that's a firefly in that lamp. It's certainly his light though, right? And so here we may not have mastery of our light going into the month. It might fluctuate and get brighter and then go dimmer and then get brighter and go dimmer. Or maybe that's been sort of the theme for my Libras for a little while. But here he holds his light. He has more control of his light. He understands the value of his light. His light lights his way through this journey. And so the power of the Hermit is that although you may have to withdraw from certain situations, and I think that that's okay because of all of this swords energy, You're withdrawing from a space of spiritual awareness, intelligence, learning, depth, all of the things that come along with the hermit. The hermit withdraws so that you might be able to better understand yourself first and foremost, and not necessarily need, the support or validation from any outside sources. Because ultimately, all of the support and validation that I see coming your way is in this 10 of Cups that comes from your spirit at some point. But you have to get to that place of strength, groundedness, and self-awareness that comes with this hermit. This is a good outcome. It may not feel like the most social outcome. It may not feel like the most externally validated outcome, but that doesn't matter, because this is about our own light and how we perceive that light and how we hold that light and how we care for that light. This is about us taking care of ourselves and understanding ourselves first and foremost over anybody else. That's where this emotional connectivity of the 10 of Cups and this abundance comes from within. This is a bit of a journey, though. I have a feeling that we get to this by the month of June, end of June. And this maybe is a little bit of a journey through July, maybe even August. We may not see this until September or further in the year, but know that this is coming for you. Know that your spirit is holding this for you and waiting for you and wants you to acknowledge that it's out there for you. You just have to desire it and want it and be willing to do the work. So I hope that makes sense for my Libras. Okay, that is your forecast. It's really quite a beautiful forecast, to be honest. I know that maybe things might be hard for some of you right now, or they've been hard for you, and you're still maybe working your way through the aftermath or wreckage of that hardness. But don't allow it to take you down or wipe you out. You're not done for the count, Libra, at all. It almost feels to me like the real experience or understanding or awareness is about to begin during this month. All right, that is your forecast for June. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please share it with other Libras or in any groups where you think people would enjoy it. Please hit the thumbs up button. For those of you watching on Facebook, please go over and subscribe to the YouTube channel. And for those of you watching on YouTube, please hit the thumbs up button and subscribe if you're new to me. Also, if anybody's interested in their own personal June reading, you can always contact me via the Facebook business page. All that information is in the drop-down menu on the video description on YouTube. So all of that stuff on how to find me and where and all of that is in there. So go to YouTube and you can find that information if you're seeing this somewhere other than YouTube. All right, you guys, take care and have a great June. All right, bye-bye.